I know in the wake of the whole horror in Paris the other night that people talk about, one world and how we should be no borders. A lot of people in terms of seeing they show this meme of the photograph of the Earth, and it says, "I don't see any borders. Do you?" Well, I'm going to talk about why borders actually matter. Now, you could sit there singing all the John Lennon songs you ever want, issuing all the new age platitudes of "we are one," all you want, but it still won't detract from the fact that there are crazy bastards in this world. There are crazy criminal bastards, crazy nationalistic bastards, crazy religious bastards. And then there are just maniacs and psychopaths and criminals who travel across borders and kill people. If you have a situation where you have no frontiers, you have no way of protecting the people inside the frontier. Now, people are very quick to say that, oh, the reason why countries have borders is wrong and all this stuff. Well, there's two ways of looking at it. A border could also be seen in the same way as a moat surrounding a town or a wall. Human beings have always lived like this. What happened in Paris, it's now becoming clear that at least one of them, as I predicted, and I'm not proud or happy about it, was a recent so-called refugee from Syria. And that's not to disparage the majority of refugees from Syria who really are going through horrific times over there. But it was a golden opportunity, especially when the globalists like Peter Sutherland and their socialist leftist partners, ironic that a big banking guy and socialists all saying the same thing, that we should let them in, end fortress Europe. But Europeans in all the EU countries pay taxes that pay for frontier guards, immigration, and border controls. And we've been let down. The people in Paris have been murdered because governments placed more priority on the whole "we are one, no frontiers" thing than they did on protecting their own citizens. When we elect a government, if you elect a government, if you do participate in that, one of the things you elect them for is to protect you. It didn't happen in France. There was no protection. There was no protection because the borders were open and it was open season. And I'm not against political asylum, I'm not against immigration, I'm not against people seeking a better life, but I am against an open door where anyone can just walk through and there's no background checks. There has to be background checks when you're coming from a war zone. It doesn't matter if it's Syria or anywhere else. You just have to be careful. And this time, the politicians can sit there talking about ISIS evil this and ISIS evil that, but the ones who said bring them all in, and that includes the people who are on Facebook sharing the memes saying things like let them all in. I'm sorry, but you have some of the blood of what happened in Paris on your hands because you create a situation where this maniac, well, at least one of them, could just saunter over the border and kill whoever he wanted. It doesn't mean we have to live in a police state, but it does mean that, you see, this is the issue. Rather than having to live in a police state now, if our useless politicians in the EU actually did their job and made sure that border and frontier controls into the European Union were regimented to the point where potential terrorists and so on, or ISIS types, could be weeded out. That did not happen at all. And that to me is one of the reasons I'm not indulging any of these conspiracy theories, is because it's only going to allow these politicians and all these people who said bring them all in off the hook. And I don't think they deserve that. I think that they should be forced to face the fact that that it's all very good listening to a John Lennon song about peace and we are all one, or any other song like that, we are the world. The reality is you would not you would not run your house that way. You would not allow anyone to walk in your door near your fam just because they exist, if with your family or your pets or anything like that. But yet governments did that to us. They they've let these people in. And they've created, like every single day, Peter Sutherland was on Twitter like talking about the moral imperative of opening our borders and letting them in. But when somebody turned around and said, well, why don't the Gulf states let them in? He turned around and said it was immoral to even suggest that. So there's definitely the big agenda here is not the conspiracy theory. The big agenda here is why are they wrecking Europe by allowing unrestricted immigration? Now, I'm actually a multiculturalist. I have no problem with the idea of multiculturalism. I actually have no problem with immigration or anything like that. But I do have a problem with unrestricted immigration because unrestricted immigration leads to what happened in Paris. And I don't believe in this notion of one world, anyone should travel anywhere. Not not why those monsters and religious fanatics and cult members and psychopaths and terrorists that still exist out there. It's just common sense. You have to have some kind of protection for decent people who don't deserve to be slaughtered by some person who can saunter across a border, get an AK-47 and start shooting anyone they like. It's common sense.